Imagine you are a hypersensitive radar, tuned to the highest frequency, picking up the slightest vibrations of pain within a mile radius. You walk into a room and instantly feel the weight of someone's failure, the sharp edge of someone's envy, or the cold void of another's loneliness. For years, you've been told that this sensitivity is your greatest gift, a divine spark making you higher and purer than the rest of the world. But no one warned you that this gift would devour you from the inside out. Let's look at the real balance sheet of your soul. How many nights have you spent staring at the ceiling, chewing on someone else's drama, while those you suffered for slept soundly? Your kindness has turned into a tax you pay to people who never intended to pay you back in kind. You are not a saint, and you are not a hero. You are a biological resource that forgot how to protect its borders because the fear of appearing bad or cruel became stronger than your instinct for self-preservation. Today, we are burning the old textbooks on morality. We are peering into the abyss that psychologists call hyperempathy to see how your brain turns you into the perfect victim for manipulators. This video is not a consolation. It is a cold, surgical operation on your consciousness designed to cut away the excess and finally return yourself to you. You will realize that everything you thought you knew about relationships and communication was merely a convenient lie for those used to parasitizing your inner light. Your mind is a fortress, but your uncontrolled empathy has left all the gates wide open, inviting every passerby to wipe their feet on your inner world. You sincerely believe you are building bridges of understanding, but in reality, you are just giving predators a detailed map of your most vulnerable zones. If you feel your energy is at zero and your life no longer belongs to you, it's time to admit it. Your holy kindness is your primary strategic failure. Psychology tells us that empathy is light, but every intense light casts a thick, impenetrable shadow where those who cannot or will not shine themselves hide. They call it a need for understanding, but in the language of dark psychology, it is pure emotional vampirism disguised as friendship or love. These people don't come to you for solutions. They come to dump their toxic waste into your clean well and walk away, leaving you poisoned for days. Your first and most dangerous delusion is this: I can save them if I am just kind and understanding enough. This is a trap your brain falls into due to the hyperactivity of mirror neurons, forcing you to mistake someone else's catastrophe for your personal responsibility. This is not virtue. It is a dangerous form of pride where you assume the role of a god, trying to fix what a person must and is obligated to experience and fix on their own. You believe that if you give just a little more warmth, the person across from you will finally realize your worth and decide to change for the better. You continue to invest your precious emotions into a hopelessly bankrupt project, hoping for a miracle that will never happen in reality. The psychology of relationships is ruthless. People do not change because you suffer alongside them. They simply get used to you being an infinite, free, and non-refundable source of life energy. The value frame. This is the foundation you lost in your attempts to be good and convenient for everyone around you. In any communication, the winner is the one whose inner reality and convictions are stronger, more stable, and more unshakable. When you empathize too intensely, you leave your own reality and completely dissolve into someone else's, becoming merely a pale shadow reflecting their whims, fears, and fleeting moods. Your thinking has become like clay. You constantly justify someone else's lies, laziness, and even direct betrayal because you understand the trauma behind this behavior. But understanding the mechanism of someone else's evil should not mean its automatic acceptance into your personal space and life. You have ceased to be the subject of your own fate, turning into an echo of other people's problems, and your confidence is melting because it no longer rests on your own boundaries. Remember the term emotional attraction, a hook used by experienced manipulators who possess a predatory instinct for open empaths like you. For them, your kindness is not a reason for gratitude. It is a clear signal that you are willing to tolerate any boundary violations to maintain a phantom peace. They see the hunger for recognition in your eyes and give you just enough attention to keep you handing over all your resources without a trace. It is like reverse alchemy. You take their lead, their weight, and their bile, trying to turn it into the gold of your soul through unconditional love. But in the end, the alchemy fails, and you only end up covered in the toxic residue of other people's failures, poisoning your brain with excess cortisol. Your habits adapt to someone else's destructive rhythm, and you slowly disappear as a person, turning into a service staff for someone else's prolonged drama. Let's break down the mechanism of the black hole of compassion, into which you voluntarily jump time and again, hoping to one day find the bottom. Imagine a person who has complained about the same problems for years but hasn't taken a single step to actually solve them. You spend hours of your time picking supportive words, but in the end, you drown in this stagnation yourself, while they stay afloat at the expense of your vital force. The bitterest part is that as soon as this person feels slightly better thanks to your energy, they go off to celebrate life with those who didn't spend a second on them. You are left squeezed dry, hollow, and forgotten because you became an anchor for them, a reminder of their own weakness. In this coordinate system, you are merely a medic, and medics are used in dirty times, but they are never invited to the real balls where success and power are celebrated. Your relentless compassion actually robs the other person of their only chance for real growth and awareness. Why would anyone take responsibility for their life if you are always there? A soft buffer ready to soften every blow of fate and justify every mistake. You aren't helping them become stronger. You are merely prolonging their emotional immaturity and your own exploitation, feeding their inner monsters with your own blood. Look at gender dynamics and how excessive empathy affects attraction in today's often cynical and pragmatic world. You are required to be sensitive and always understanding. But face the truth. Who does instinctive nature actually choose? Not the one who cries nearby, but the one who has the courage to set their goals and their personality above any external emotional noise and manipulative tears. When you are too empathic in a relationship, you inevitably lose sexual polarity and intrigue, becoming predictable, bland, and far too convenient. And convenience is the shortest path to being no longer wanted, but simply used like a familiar piece of furniture. Your communication turns into an endless series of apologies for even existing, for having your own desires, and for daring to demand attention. You are terrified of conflict because you feel the opponent's responsive pain and anger as sharply as if you were physically wounded yourself. This fear makes you a slave to anyone ready to raise their voice or knit their brows, robbing you of the ability to defend your truth and your interests. He who is ready to cause discomfort for the sake of justice will always stand higher on the hierarchical ladder than he who is ready to bend for the sake of a fake peace. Your reluctance to hurt others is, in reality, a form of deep cowardice and a refusal to experience the discomfort of someone else's negative reaction to your words. Your brain chooses the path of least resistance, to surrender, to give everything, to agree to unfavorable terms, just so the hum of someone else's dissatisfaction in your head finally stops. Know this noise will only grow until you finally turn into an empty shell, devoid of your own opinion and will. It is vital for you to learn how to build an emotional wall that separates your true feelings from the projections and manipulations imposed from the outside. This is not a call to become a heartless stone. It is a call to move from destructive emotional empathy to sober and calculating cognitive empathy. You must understand what another feels, but remain in your own mind and with your own interests, not letting someone else's poison into your bloodstream. Cognitive empathy is when you see that a person is drowning, analyze the reasons for their fall, but remain on the firm and safe shore. You can throw them a rope if you have an extra one, but under no circumstances do you jump into the whirlpool after them, risking both lives. Only by maintaining your stability and autonomy can you be truly useful, while a double drowning helps absolutely no one. Start looking at the people around you as complex biological mechanisms driven by their traumas, hormones, and sometimes very primitive interests. This is not cynicism. It is necessary mental hygiene that allows you to maintain clarity of thought in moments of someone else's theatrical hysterics or pressure. Stop being a sponge soaking up everything. Become a cold observer who studies the world but does not let the world destroy your inner structure. Your new life strategy should be based on the principle of radical egoism, which is actually the highest form of responsibility to yourself. Before rushing to help, ask yourself, does this person have real credit in my internal bank? If you are facing someone who only takes and never invests, close that account immediately, without long excuses or eroding guilt. As soon as you start doing this, you will see how the space around you begins to rapidly and painfully clear of all the extra parasite people. Those who used to exploit you with impunity will begin to resent you, calling you cold, cruel, and too changed. And this will be your greatest victory, signifying that your boundaries have finally begun to work and protect your unique human essence. Real confidence is born in the silence and void that you stopped filling with other people's endless complaints and the solving of problems that don't concern you. When you return your attention to yourself, you discover a colossal reserve of power that used to go into serving others' infantile illusions. Now this energy belongs to you, and you are free to direct it toward building your own empire, not others' temporary shacks. Realize one harsh and cold truth. This world will not become one iota better if you allow yourself to be trampled, devalued, and destroyed. Your relationships will not become stronger from your spinelessness, and your soul will not become brighter from being mired in someone else's accumulated filth. Your thinking must become sharp as a razor, ruthlessly cutting away everything that prevents you from breathing deeply and moving toward your peaks. Realize one harsh and cold truth. This world will not become one iota better if you allow yourself to be trampled, devalued, and destroyed. Your relationships will not become stronger from your spinelessness, and your soul will not become brighter from being mired in someone else's accumulated filth. Your thinking must become sharp as a razor, ruthlessly cutting away everything that prevents you from breathing deeply and moving toward your peaks. Stop being a passive mirror that merely reflects whatever ugliness or beauty random passersby in your life decide to place before it. Become a powerful, autonomous source that decides for itself when to give water and when to keep the tap tightly closed for the unworthy. And if someone tries to spit into your source, you must have enough strength to cut that person off from your presence forever. Remember all your past mistakes, when you clearly saw the manipulation but your good nature forced you to remain silent, endure, and hope for the better. Feel the rage that has accumulated in you for years because of this systematic betrayal of yourself, and admit that this rage is your true friend. It is your life force trying to break through the thick layer of false morality and convenient for others submission imposed by society. Use this energy to completely rebuild the architecture of your social interaction and the style of your communication with the outside world. True attraction and respect are created not through availability and softness, but through the scarcity of your time and your valuable attention. When you stop being a free psychologist for everyone you meet, your real value in the eyes of high-status and worthy people will grow exponentially. We are approaching the end, and you have two paths. Close this video, and tomorrow again allow someone to drink your blood under the guise of another friendly support. You can continue to deceive yourself, believing that your endless sacrifice will be rewarded by mythical karma. But the reality is that the reward will only be depression. Your kindness is not an obligation to the world. It is your personal privilege, which you are free to give or take away at your discretion. Choose yourself, right here and right now, not out of hatred for others, but out of deep respect for the spark of life that still flickers inside you under a pile of other people's problems. Dig it up. Let it flare up. Only when you become whole and protected can you truly influence this world, rather than just suffering along with it. Your empathy is fire. Either you warm your house with it, or you let it burn you to the ground. Now you know the truth, and this truth will make you either very lonely or truly free. Which path will you choose? Your kindness no longer belongs to them. It belongs to you, and only to you.